natural, and we've seen what Shayna Baszler and Razor, the Authors of Pain, have done. What do you think of this I don't want to say resurgence, this influx of MMA talent that has made the transition into pro wrestling, and how they've done? I know that plays into what you're doing at WrestleMania as well.
Yeah, sure. I'm about to get thrown around by two of the best shooters in the world. It's a funny thing that I think doors open, and then it seems like an influx, You get a couple of high-level NFL guys, and all of a sudden we get barrage with calls from former NFL guys or people, athletes that have tried to make it in the NFL. A lot more of them start calling us to see the opportunity. You put MMA people, Brock Lesnar, you take that level of performer from a combat sport that makes it in our business, they start to see it differently. A lot of them are very well suited because the mannerisms and the sort of the athletic ability is very similar to what we do. Then it comes down to personality and all the other things that make a well-rounded WWE superstar, because I say this a lot, it's a huge puzzle, right? Becoming great is a huge puzzle. The more pieces of the puzzle you have, the better. You don't have to have all of them. Not everybody's a great in-ring performer. Not everybody's great on the microphone. Not everybody's great with a character, whatever. But the more pieces you have, the more successful you can be. I think you see that influx because you see some success from people at those levels, and you see them starting to boil up and become more and more, and the fit is an easy fit in the physical sense, and then the ones that succeed are the ones that can pick up all the other pieces.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Greg Oliver with Slam Wrestling.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Greg.
You mentioned how NXT storylines really build through time. Is that something that the creative team really works on in NXT? And related to that, how is the creative team at NXT different than Raw and SmackDown, besides, writing the weeks ahead, as you already mentioned?
Well, I think that it's not necessarily, I don't want to say like a different team in that they're structured differently or anything like that. There's a little group of folks that write NXT, this team that writes Raw, team that writes SmackDown. When I say write, it's more than just the creative, well, then they do this, then they do that. It's formatting the shows and everything else, timing them, all of the stuff that goes into creating a television show, which is, or I shouldn't even say television, creating a show, because distribution is so varied now. But, there's a lot of components that go into it. It's knowing the brand and the differences in the brand. We have a little bit more leeway and ease of what we do with NXT because it's an hour-long show. It's a 1-hour weekly show that, every 8 weeks or whatever has a large-scale event that we build towards and pay off. Can that change over time? Yes, but that's what it is right now. And when you talk about then going from a 1-hour show to writing a 2-hour show, it changes the equation. When you go from a 2-hour show to a 3-hour show, it changes exponentially. And then when you talk about a monthly pay-per-view event or different things, all of that changes. So the way things are written, the way things change on a dime, it's just different. Sometimes we can get through an NXT. If an injury occurs on NXT, we might be 4 weeks built into something already shot, and then an injury takes place, and it's trying to figure out, all right, how can we make this work into the story? How do we play this into the story? Because I'm going to come back in a couple of weeks and shoot 4 more weeks of television, and how can I fit that in? Will this person, the injury rate is this, the return date is that, if this works out, I can go here. When it's live weekly, that equation changes dramatically. It's much harder to plan long-term when those things happen on the dime, and you have to be able to make that shift. So comparing the two is apples and oranges. Everybody in all brands, we're always trying to look ahead and say, what is the long-term direction you want to go in? What's the destination you're trying to get to? But it's Absolutely. Yeah, they one of the things that we're trying to do in NXT is help them learn and build on every level. So there's, creative input is asked, creative thoughts are asked, characters are asked. It's sometimes, you see talent in the NXT brand, especially at the very lower sort of kind of the folks that you see come in and out of NXT, because we're just kind of giving them little samples of what they do when they get on television to see how they react to it and stuff. You see them trying different things with the characters, that this works, this doesn't work. We're letting them spread their wings a little bit and try things, develop on their own, try things with promos, try things with this, try things with that, get it to them ahead of time so they can experiment with it to try to see where it goes. If you follow the live events in Florida, sometimes we're trying out characters or personalities or promos or little bits and pieces of things. We're trying them out, seeing how they go. And it's all about letting them spread their wings and grow so that when they get to the main roster, yes, they can participate, but they also, in that participation, have a much better sense of this will work, this won't work. I tried this before, this failed miserably, I shouldn't do this, and because of the one thing, look, I found in my career is that success the failure is that biggest teacher. You learn things with success, but sometimes you succeed and you're not sure why it worked or something, and sometimes that failure is a much more direct learning curve. And as you fail, you learn what not to do the next time, and you learn how to apply it to get to the success level. So I never see it. I don't even like the word failure. To me, it's like it's not failure; it's learning. It's just learning, and that's really NXT. That brand, the Performance Center, all of that, it's all about learning process. And in this industry, you'll never stop learning because this business changes on a day-to-day basis. The feel of it, what people are reacting to, and what they want to see. Some of it will always be true and stay the same. A